Hello everyone and welcome back. We've obviously had some interesting news come out of America and the UAE in regards to the new Y63. Now, of course, the information and whatnot that we have gotten from overseas is not going to be indicative of what we'll see here in Australia. I read a pretty interesting article this morning from one of the, people from Nissan, and they were just talking about how Australia is a very different market than what the UAE is and what America is. Basically what that means is that they sort of start with, the base of whatever the UAE is or whatever America is, and they then adjust the car to be more suitable for Australian conditions. They're going to be increasing the chassis strength and changing suspension and that sort of thing. So it's going to be a fully developed car for Australia, more so than just getting a car from UAE and changing it to right-hand drive. It's going to be basically a very similar car, however there will be differences that will make it more applicable to Australia. Now, I'm sure a majority of you have seen the live stream or videos and have got a lot of information about the car, and a lot more concrete information will be provided when we know more about what is actually going to be delivered to Australia. So that's why it's going to take another 2 years for us to get the car, because they basically are developing the car to be specific to Australia rather than just converting a UAE model to right-hand drive. So as we know, there's going to be two different engine variants, however we'll only get one of them. So we'll get the 3.5 litre V6 twin turbo. The other markets will get the 3.8 litre, but that's apparently going to be NA, which is weird. But we're not going to get the 3.8 litre here. We'll have the 3.5 litre twin turbo, which will be pretty cool. So obviously we know the power figures for the Y62 being 298 kilowatts and 560 Newton meters, whereas the 3.5 litre twin turbo will produce 317 kilowatts and 700 Newton meters of torque. Now, I expect that this new motor will be very, very tunable. If you know anything about Nissan's previous, inline sixes and things like that, V6s in the GTR and that sort of thing, they're very tunable, highly upgradable motors that are very reliable and produce great power, which we have seen here. Just by base figures of the 3.5 litre compared to the VK56. It also achieves that with a greater fuel economy, which is apparently supposed to be 24% better over the VK56. So it's pretty interesting, and once it gets here and people get their hands on it and people start developing it, will be a really good thing. Of course, it's not going to sound the same, and it's a bit of a shame. However, hopefully it might sound half decent, because GTR sounds good. All RB Skylines sound good if they're done properly. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but I think it should be a good thing. New 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, if you've seen in the videos, it's all push buttons for the gear selection, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's dumb. It should have been a shifter, just a conventional shifter like we have in a majority of cars. Push buttons is bloody ridiculous, but anyway, whatever, it is what it is. But it does have a paddle shifter, so you can manually select gears once you're in drive, which is at least something. However, still the whole concept of buttons is dumb. And not something that they should have done. Obviously, we've seen a massive tech upgrade and interior upgrade. Now, a lot of people have been complaining about, oh, it's too flashy, oh, it's too this, it's too that. Holy shit, you people wanted a new updated interior that didn't feel like you were stepping into the 1960s or 70s, and now people are complaining about it. So what do you want? Do you want an upgraded interior or do you not? A lot of people, like I said, complaining about it for whatever reason, which is just ridiculous. You've gotten what you've wanted. It's a new updated infotainment system and whole new redesigned interior, which I think looks fantastic. Yes, it is very modern, and I can understand sort of why people are a bit upset about it, because it's supposed to be this four-wheel drive, and I think a lot of people are sort of, you know, thinking that this isn't going to be a four-wheel drive car, and it's just going to be, you know, sort of a bit like a 300 series where it can go off-road, but, you know, it looks more at home, cruising along the freeway, or, you know, picking and dropping up kids from school, that sort of thing. Where it's not going to be like a fully off-road capable vehicle like I suppose the Y62 is. And I think this car is going to be, the Y62 is going to be the last fully four-wheel drive focused modern four-wheel drive. The Y63, it does look good, and I mean, they're saying that, oh yes, we're heavily focused on the four-wheel driving aspect for Australia, and, you know, we've changed the suspension to be, you know, really great off-road and all this. So I suppose time will tell how that actually looks and how that performs, but yeah, I suppose just from sort of yeah, the initial sort of look of what we've seen so far, it definitely does look like it's not what they're claiming it to be. However, I'm sure it'll still be great off-road, especially if you've seen the Pro 4X version, which is very much four-wheel drive focused. Yeah, we'll see how that sort of goes. Apparently there's also supposed to be a towing increase for Australia, hence why they are bracing and strengthening the chassis. Apparently it's going to be up to 3.8 tonnes. We'll see if that actually eventuates, but I would more so expect 3.5 tonnes as we already have, but we'll see what happens. It might happen, but apparently from what I've read, the reason they're strengthening and bracing the chassis is not only for, you know, structural rigidity and better performance and handling on and off-road, it's supposedly supposed to be for the upgraded towing capacity. So if that does happen, well, that's cool. Yeah, who knows? So like I was speaking about, we've got some new screens and things in the car which do look great, with over-the-air live updates for your infotainment system and things like that, which means you just connect the car to your Wi-Fi connection and the car will automatically update itself to be at the latest version, which is awesome, and a lot of cars have that feature. So it's very convenient. You don't need to go to the dealership just to get an update on the infotainment system or something like that. So very handy thing to have, and will be a nice inclusion with the new infotainment and technology pack. Don't expect to have everything that overseas gets, because they always get the flashy, more, you know, tech-focused stuff, whereas Australia typically doesn't, as we've seen in the Y62. However, it will still be fairly similar to what overseas is like, I would think, but things may be different for our market just because we're not seen as a huge market, and the, you know, Nissan doesn't want to, I suppose, give us something that America has that isn't really suited for what our needs are here in Australia, is what I've sort of gathered from reading a few pieces. There is obviously the top spec one, and I think the spec below top spec has air suspension, which apparently can go up to 70 mil. I heard that it was 2 inches in height and can also be lowered by 2 inches as well. So we'll see if that is a spec that we'll get here. However, all the other lower specs are just a conventional suspension setup, which is actually really great. This will mean that you know, superior engineering and you know, places like this will be able to develop really great suspension packages and things for these cars that will make them exceptional off-road and also for towing as well, which is really great. It should be a lot cheaper than having to deal with the HPMC that we have now, because you can, you know, upgrade components and things fairly easily. You know, it'll allow for a lot less man hours involved in changing things and dealing with pressures and hydraulic fluid and things like this, to get a lift or to change your shock absorbers and things like that. So you'll be able to run remote reservoir shock absorbers and heavier duty coils and different you know, suspension components and things like that, like panhards and, you know, control arms and these sort of things. That is more typical on a GU or GQ. From what I've sort of gathered, from what I found, there's no sort of formal information about what that suspension actually looks like. However, that's just some of my speculation of what I would expect to see, because it just sort of says just conventional suspension on the spec sheet. So we'll have to see what that looks like. Apparently there's a built-in air compressor for the air suspension, but can also be used for inflating the tyres as well, which is really cool. I mean, a pretty common upgrade that people do is putting an air compressor in the back of the car for airbags and inflating tyres. So that'll be pretty cool, as long as it's, you know, decent air compressor and doesn't just shit itself. Yeah, that'll be awesome, nice thing to have. The car, the Y63 is also a lot bigger than the Y62. It's now 5,205 mil in length, which is an increase of 35 mil. It's 2,030 mil in width, which is an increase of 35 mil. And 1,955 mil in height, which is the same as what the Y62 is currently. We get a little bit of an increase in space there, which is nice. It's apparently got a 30% bigger boot space, fit a bit more crap in the back, which is nice. The top spec one for the Middle East is listed at 105,000 US, which is close to 160,000 in AUD. Yeah, that's very subject to change. To see what sort of specs we'll get and where their prices will land, because I don't know many people that will want to go and spend $160,000 on a new vehicle, just considering how the climate is currently at the moment. $160,000 is a lot, and I think it's more expensive than a 300 series, which obviously would not be in Nissan's current plans to be more expensive than the 300 series. However, of course, they still need to make money on the cars, but I still think that if they want to be competitive, they need to, you know, be cheaper than a 300 series, because Nissan has always been the underdog and needs to have some sort of benefit for going to a Y63 over a 300 series. Obviously, the car's going to be a lot better, I would like to think, in a lot of aspects. However, the price, people won't be able to justify that. And you'll probably see a lot of lower spec Y63s getting around more so than the top spec if it is going to be $160,000. They're supposed to be able to be pre-ordered at the end of 2026 for an early 2027 delivery. So the Y62 will continue to be available up until then. I've heard a few different stories on that where they, you know, might be available for pre-order around 2025 to mid-2026 for a late 2026 delivery, but we'll have to see how that all sort of pans out. These are the specs for the UAE. You can get an LE T1, which is starting from 23,499 KWD, which is oil money, I guess, which is the base model, and, you know, includes basic stuff. You know, comes with some headlights, thank goodness. Electric adjust folding, auto folding, puddle lamp, and LED turn signal, thank God. A rear view camera, geez, that's nice. Front and rear parking sensors, leather steering wheel switches, manual tilt, height adjustment, paddle shifter, twin 12.3-inch monolith display, 8-way power adjust driver's seat plus 4-way power adjust passenger seat, off-road bumper, rear diff lock, 18-inch machine cut alloy wheels, front side curtain, and driver knee airbags, cruise control, and speed limiter. So very basic. Obviously there'll be more in it than that, but that's your basic spec, which, yeah, sort of doesn't really include a whole heap, but fairly cheap. Good to see 18-inch wheels available, because the top spec one has like 22-inch wheels or something. Yes, it does, which is absolutely ridiculous. So the LE T2, which is the spec up from that, is 24,999 KWD, which includes everything from the T1, but also includes a panoramic sunroof, rain sensors, frameless smart rear view mirror, electric parking brake with auto hold. So that'll sort of be like a hold button that you can push if you're in traffic and you want to take your foot off the brake. Electric parking brake, yeah, we've talked about that. We don't know how that'll sort of go. Hopefully it's better than this stupid foot brake. I would assume it would be. Electric park brakes are typically pretty good. iKey plus walk away lock and walk in unlock. So that just means that you'll be able to walk away from the car and it'll sense that the key fob isn't there and it'll lock itself, and then also unlock itself if the key is near the car, which not great safety features. I'm sure that'll be able to be turned on or off. Engine remote start. cool. Not really much more than a gimmicky thing. That driver's seat, two-way power lumbar adjust, leatherette interior, so it's not actually proper leather, but anyway. Power lift tailgate, just like the TIL. Roof racks like the TIL. Rear seat, occupant alert, whatever that means, and wireless charging. So now we move up into the higher spec one. This is the one that's second from the top. It is the LE Titanium, starting from 26950 kWd. It's got 20-inch alloy wheels, obviously includes everything from the lower spec models. E-damper suspension, whatever that is. 8-way plus 2-way power lumbar seat adjustments, premium leather, twin 14.3 monolith display, 12 premium Klipsch audio system, which is supposed to be quite good, panoramic sunroof, rear power lift, which includes motion sensing on the rear, city bumper for city driving because it's more of a premium car. I would sort of expect that the previous model will sort of be like a TI, and this will probably be like a TIL. Intelligent cruise control, high beam assist, driver attention alert, blind spot intervention, cross traffic alert, pro pilot, lane keep assist, and then a few other driver assistance as well. And then you can also get a LE Titanium Plus, which is 27,950 kWd, which includes a 12.8-inch rear seat entertainment system, seat heating and ventilation, electric adjust steering wheel, memory function on the seats, intelligent individual thermal control for the front and rear passengers, I think. So it's basically just like an infrared thing that monitors your skin temperature and will adjust the air conditioning to suit. An air filter and ionizer for those people that are into that sort of thing to improve air quality. Genuine quilted leather, third row powered seats, Pro Pilot plus lane keep assist. So I'd say that sort of be the TIL. However, I think this LE-T2 will sort of include a lot of that in terms of the driver assistance, and will probably be like the TI. And now we move into the LE Platinum City, which is definitely like the cruising around town, just, you know, runabout, flashy car, to and from meetings sort of thing, which is starting at 30,499 kWd. It's got the air suspension, 22-inch alloy wheels, invisible hood view for the camera, which is actually really cool. My parking location, I'm not sure what that is. It must tell you where it's parked on your phone or something. It's probably an app. Adaptive driving beam, whatever that means. 3D around view monitor, which is just your bloody 360-degree cameras. Iconic puddle lamp, heads-up display, seat plus massage, 4-way lumbar control, second row flat, fold flat release from cargo. So those second row seats will fold flat from the boot. Interior multicolor illumination. So that's your real flashy one that'll be like Uber X, get picked up in the flash, Y63, and, you know, taken to your meetings or whatever, taken to your private jet sort of thing. If you may remember from what I sort of, from a video I did a little while ago where I've sort of discussed some things I'd like to see in a new Y63, was that heads-up display, so it's good to see that it is included. However, you do have to pay for the top spec to be able to get it. So that's sort of what we sort of have in a twin turbo 3.5 litre. That's sort of what the specs are sort of showing us at the moment. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that eventuates into anything for us and how that'll sort of look for our specs. I highly doubt that we'll get a choice of 4 different cars to choose from. I think it'll still be the same sort of thing as TI and TIL, with probably a few differences between the two. But yeah, we'll see what happens. As we get probably more into next year, we'll probably have more information on it. But that is sort of a brief overview of what we know so far, and what we can sort of expect for Australia. So keep up to date with it. Watch American and UAE reviews on it to sort of see how it performs. But it's got to be better than this. So they've got big shoes to fill, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know down below, are you going to be ordering a Y63 or not? Are you going to hold off and keep your Y62 for a bit longer? For me personally, I'm keeping this thing till it dies, or at least another 10 years. So, I expect some high maintenance costs on it, but look, unless that Y63 really proves me wrong, I'm going to be sticking with my old VK56 and some level of decent off-road capability and towing ability as well. So until next time, guys, stay safe out there. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.